Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with chef and cookbook author Jake Cohen, whose books are I Could Nosh and Jewish. And his new show is Jake Makes It Easy on FYI. And I'm just so excited to talk to you because A, you are you, and B, we get to talk about food. So what's better, right?
I know, we're gonna have a blast.
I love that the new show is Jake Makes It Easy because people think cooking is hard, but we know better, right?
Completely. And again, that's not saying that there are tasks that take time or require patience or even experience in terms of practice. But as a whole, we don't really kind of approach other rituals or disciplines in the same way. It's like going to the gym is difficult, but the hardest part is showing up. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to cooking. The hardest part is deciding you're gonna cook. And then from there, the rest is pretty easy.
I am so with you. And those who've seen the show before know that I am a reformed non cook. So I used to be one of those people. And once I discovered that it can be easy, I got an instant pot where you can throw in ingredients and then it comes out food and you can do other things. It was life changing. That was like my gateway. So, why do you think there are so many people like me in the world or former me in the world?
I think we live in a society that really kind of promotes that, where we're seeing a resurgence now, I think, around entertaining and using your kitchen as the center of hospitality in your life. But for so long, it was about going to the new trendy restaurant. It was about going out to other third places, but not creating these connections with those you love around the table like it did in the past. And as a result, when you don't exercise that muscle, it just becomes weaker.
Yes, and it's harder to go to the kitchen just like it's harder to go to the gym. So tell me how the news show came about, and then we can talk more about food because that's why we're here.
Yeah, it started with my first book, Jewish. I did a pre-record for the Rachel Ray for Rachel's show, and she loved it in a way that I could have never imagined. I mean, I guess I could have a little, but she raved about the book so much, and it kind of just started this relationship of her as this huge supporter of mine, which was insane because I'd been watching her since I was a kid and had been such a huge fan of everything she did. So to have her become such a champion for me was a dream. And it was like the third time I was doing her show, and she's like, "Hey, I'm launching this production company. We're gonna be doing a bunch of TV shows. I think you should do one with me." And I was like, "Okay, okay." Rachel was giving me a TV show. I didn't really think it was gonna. I don't know. I didn't really know what was gonna happen, and nevertheless, here we are. And
Oh, that's
it's the biggest blessing to have someone as iconic and generous as Rachel in my life.
amazing. I'm also a goal strategist, and one of the things I say all the time is you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. I mean, what a great
Always.
people to have, right?
Exactly, exactly. I'm very blessed to have a very, um, inspiring community. I love that my community are full of people that inspire me in a million one different ways.
And community and food goes so hand in hand, right?
Exactly. This whole community that I have, the majority of them I have connected with over meals, whether I'm cooking for them or not. Um, that's that conduit for really building deep connection with truly anyone.
So did you always know that you were going to be chef or chef entertainer? Was that always the goal, or
Yes, I'm living out my dream. This was always the
that's
dream, and I'm
awesome?
living it out right now.
What was it about cooking that first inspired you?
I would say the concept of cooking for others. It was the idea of what gathering people around a table and the way that they felt when I cooked for them was it was just it was a addictive. I couldn't get over how incredibly present people were when you got to share a meal together. And it's the type of energy, it's the type of interactions that I truly look for. I hate the superficial. All I want is depth. All I want is substance. And when you get to share a meal with someone, the walls come down so much faster and you're able to really kind of build deeper connections. And I've always craved that. And great food is like the perfect side dish to that.
Well, and so depth in your meals and in your conversation is like the best recipe, right?
Exactly.
Do you remember your first food memory and or your first cooking memory?
Food memory, again, it was always surrounding like Passover or the Jewish high holidays because it was really, I had two working parents, like growing up in this, I grew up in Queens, and the holidays were really the time that like everything was stopped, pure abundance, nonstop cooking. Like it was about just gathering everyone in the family. It was, we weren't necessarily like a the whole family sits down and eats dinner at the same time kind of family, but for the holidays, it was these moments of true emphasis on hospitality and and just like absolute connection to being with those you love around a meal. And that was really powerful and kind of really solidified a lot of the viewpoints that I have around what I define as comfort food, what I define um as the things that I love to make for those that I love. And then it was later on when I started, like, cooking myself, and I would just I'd do these terrible dinner parties for my friends in high school. But I mean, looking back, they were terrible. For them, they were like everyone lost their mind. They were like, "This is the best," because we're stupid. Like, we're 15, what do we know? Um, but I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and it's what kinda got me on this track here.
What impact do you think your Jewishness has had on everything that you do? Because it's clearly, I mean, you wrote Jewish and I could not. So obviously it is there, but what do you think that impact has been?
I so I always say, like, my gold standard, like, everyone has, like, their I don't know, their icon. Um And for me, it's always been Fran Drescher, like, The Nanny, I think, is, like, my favorite thing of all time. Um, and one of the things that I think is so evident is that this is just a story about a person. However, her identity is so intrinsic to the way that she presents her life, and that's something that you will assume of anyone, and it's no different with food. So, for me, as I am adding to this conversation of food in like the mainstream, I could either be adding to it or I could be just adding noise. And to me, I've always wanted substance, which is like what I was just saying about deeper connections. So everything I'm going to do is going to be a little Jewy because I'm a Jew. And the way that I was raised is the outlook in which I have towards pretty much everything I know when it comes to hospitality. That being said, while that was the foundation, I then went off and I went to culinary school and worked in fine dining restaurants and have been exposed to every cuisine around the world and have had insane experiences that have broadened my horizons that help infuse into what I do, but it doesn't change the core of who I am. And so the blessing that I have is I get to then present to the world what my unique take on that is. And it's going to look different than what you might think or what someone else, whether they're Jewish or not, might think. But the only thing I can promise um, is that's going to be delicious.
I think one of the best ways to be authentic is to be yourself and then amplified, which
Exactly.
clearly you've got down so pat. How can people put more of themselves into their cooking?
Oh my God, how long do we have? So I'll give you like the short answer is really kind of spend some time looking inward of like what are the things that define your versions of comfort, your definitions of love through food, and remember those memories and try to bring those into your everyday. Doesn't matter what ingredients, what background, what anything. Those foods that are tied to feelings are are it. How do you do that? I mean, I'm very into a lot of woo-woo stuff. I do a lot of journaling, a lot of like meditation, a lot of manifestation, a lot of all those things. So to me, it's about kind of getting in touch with your subconscious, your authentic self, whatever kind of verbiage you like to use to define it, and see what you're craving. I think more often than not, people know and they just shy away from what they've been trying to tell themselves for a while. So when your body's craving something, there's typically a reason why, and I try not to deprive.
Awesome. What is your absolute favorite food? It's gonna be two-part Jewish and non-Jewish.
Okay, Jewish is challah, easy.
Yeah.
Um, just because I think bread is so amazing. And actually, in the show, I do an episode where it's kind of rooted on like making a challah dough and then turning them into challah wrap hot dogs and then a challah monkey bread. And so it's like using your dough to kind of create these other variations that kind of show you how infinite your possibilities are with a yeasted dough, which is really fun. In terms of a non-Jewish, I would say brownies, and I do my date brownies in episode 1, and they're the best recipe for brownies that, like, anyone's ever gonna make. Like and it sounds so cliche, like, "Oh, my brownie was" but it is, I just don't know what to say. It's like and then you'll try it, and you'll get it. I don't know what else to I don't know what else to I'm not looking to just everyone's always trying to looking to sell of like, "Oh, I added some weird new thing to make it different." No, no, no. I'm just giving you the best brownie recipe ever, and each one is studded with a medjool date, so it's like super fudgy and caramelly, and you're never gonna make another recipe again.
And I feel like that is the recipe that we should share in the article that goes with this episode because it's the sort of ultimate comfort food.
They
Is
freeze
there
well, like all of it.
yeah, is there anything a brownie will not fix?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe
Yeah.
diabetes, but there we go.
What other tips do you have so people can get out of their head and into the kitchen more?
Yeah, so each episode is structured in a way where you're getting one entertaining main and one entertaining dessert that both kind of go together. And then I give kind of tips like, oh, you could round out this meal with a salad or a side of rice or kind of whatever to turn it into a dinner party. And then I'm giving you the tools of what order I'm making these two recipes so that it's quite sustainable in terms of you're not I don't know, you're not waiting for the oven to preheat because your salmon's getting cold, but you haven't cooked your brownies yet, or for another dish, I'm telling you, like, "Great, we're getting the dessert out of the way, and you can do this the day before, you can do this the morning of, so when it comes time for your guest arriving, that part of the meal is already handled, and you already have everything else assembled and ready to just pop into the oven." And giving people those kinds of tools in terms of the logistics of cooking, it's such an important step that is often, I don't know, left out because for me, a great recipe is not just one that tastes good, it's one that tastes good and is able to be made without you hating me for giving it to you.
As you are a New Yorker, I have to ask the bagel question. So, what is your bagel and what do you put on it?
So, it depends on the vibe. If I'm like, depending on the night before, it's often oh, actually, I just had this great bagel. I mean, I did have a night before. So it's either a bacon, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel, classic, or tuna salad on a cinnamon raisin, which it works, and I love it, and it's so good.
As someone who also loves a good cinnamon bagel and it does not matter what's on it, I
Exactly.
totally vibe with that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
What is the most unique combination? Because I know, cinnamon raisin bagel and tuna is one of them, but I'm sure you could do better.
So actually, and I just did this the other day. I really enjoy peanut butter and jelly on an everything bagel.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds amazing. Do you have any final food for thought that you would like to leave people with?
Really, what it always comes down to is that, like, cooking is fun. Cooking should be fun. Cooking for others is the greatest blessing. It's the greatest act of service. I definitely need words of affirmation, but acts of service are my love language, and I'm a caretaker at heart, sometimes to a fault. But when you're able to create that relationship of showing people love through literally creating, like taking raw ingredients and turning them into sustenance. I It's why I love baking challah. It's why I love baking bread or desserts or cakes. It's because these are things that like it feels like alchemy. You're taking something and you're truly just making it from the wildest things that should not turn into the final product. And all of a sudden, people are eating something that you made, and it's that whole idea, it's like, "Oh, made with love," and I have this close friend, and she's always like, "Oh, yeah," her dietitian always said, like, "You have to watch everything you eat unless it's made with love, and then anything goes." And that's the issue with me is because like, everything I make is made with love, and that's what I think this show really it really exemplifies that kind of relationship with cooking, and I can't wait for people to watch it. I can't wait for people to cook from the show. This is the start of me living out my dream.
Well, it is a great show, and I will attest you can feel your love through the screen. So, congratulations. Where can people learn more about the show and everything, Jake?
Literally, the best is Google because everything's gonna pop up. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Jake Cohen. I'll be posting tons of clips from the show. I link out to everything. Um, Obviously, look up on FYI to find out your channel? This is so funny because, like, I'm a millennial, this is it was such a dream to be on cable, and now I'm like, "What channel is it?" I don't know. I don't know, wherever the TV guy tells me. But that's kind of the best part is that this is for people who watch TV, and, to be able to create a show that people are going to not just watch, but stumble upon and fall in love with, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's such a blessing. I am so excited for you. And I am, again, thrilled with the conversation. Thank you, Jake Cohen, for joining me today. Thank you for tuning into Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, your favorite podcast platform. And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you will get to get the recipes. Oh, I can't wait to try the brownies and read the articles that go with each episode. And you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Put more love in the food. Until next time, bon appetit.